Hello and welcome to this video on the Bodhicaryavatara at chapter 7 verse 9. As usual, I'll read the verse out slowly twice and then we will analyze it in detail. So let me call it up on the screen for you. Shokavega samuchanna sashrurakte kshanananan bandhun nirashan sampashyan yamaduta mukhanicha. Shokavega samuchanna sashrurakte kshanananan bandhun nirashan sampashyan yamaduta mukhanicha. Now, the whole of the first line consists of a multi-member compound, which I've analysed in detail in the notes. Let's go first to the word sampashyan, which is seeing, or more than seeing. Pashyan on its own would be seeing. Sampashyan, it's more taking, contemplating, or taking it all in, having that as your comprehensive view. You're seeing the totality of it. Sampashyan. So sampashyan is the present participle from our root. Let me now call up the iPad page for you. There we are. From the root drish, to see. This is one of those irregular ones where the present tense and the forms made from the present tense, such as the present participle, are formed from actually a different root. It's so drish, to see, but he, she, it sees is pashyati. We do the same in English very occasionally, where we have a separate verb. For example, to go, we don't make the past tense goed, it went. We use a verb from a completely different root for that. Occasionally done in English, occasionally done in Sanskrit. This is one of those rare occasions. So pashyati, he sees, and therefore the present participle, the stem is pashyant, and the present, the masculine singular nominative is pashyan. And with some, it becomes sampashyan, so contemplating, seeing. So sampashyan, seeing what? Now look to the first word of the second line, bandhun. That's from bandhu, meaning a relative, and the accusative plural, bandhun. So seeing relatives. The word bandhu, by the way, it's cognate, it's from the root band, which is cognate with our modern English bind, something you're tied to. So the relatives, your bandhu, in the plural bandhava, accusative bandhun, the people to whom you are bound by we talk about ties of kinship, the ties in the sense of the bonds of kinship. So that's the meaning of bandhu here. So bandhun, so sampashyan bandhun, seeing his relatives, nirashan. The word for hope is asha, and it's a feminine noun ending in long a, asha. One way of making a negated adjective in exactly the same way as English hope and hopeless, somebody who is without hope is hopeless, is to put nir in front of it. And so hopeless would be nirasha as an adjective. Note that the noun on its own, asha, is a feminine noun ending in a long a. Whenever you compound a feminine word like this, or indeed virtually any word like this, but let's look specifically at this feminine word, asha, and you make it into an adjective, compound it even by putting the negating prefix or the privative prefix nir in front of it, it loses its long a, which it had in the feminine noun form, and it becomes just an ordinary adjective with its stem ending in a short a, just like any other adjective, any other noun or adjective in a short a. So if a person is nirasha, is helpless, without hope, it's nirasha. And we now have your bandhun nirashan, N here, nirashan, that's the accusative plural, bandhun nirashan, your relatives despairing, without hope. So sampashyan bandhun nirashan, yamaduta mukhanicha. So Yama, that's the Buddhist mythology, the lord of death. And Duta, the word Duta is a messenger. So Yamaduta is the Yama messengers. But here it's a compound. It's Yama Duta. The face, the word for face and mouth, mukha, mukha can specifically mean mouth. It can often refer to the face as a whole. So Yamaduta mukha. Mukha is a neuter noun, and therefore it makes its plural in ani mukhani. So Yamaduta mukhani is literally Yama messenger faces, the faces of the messengers of Yama. This Yamaduta mukhani could also have been, quite grammatically correctly, put, let's resolve it out, Yamasya of Yama, Dutanam, put that in the genitive plural, Dutanam. So that would then be something like, translating it literally word by word, Yamasya Dutanam Mukhani. So Mukhani, the faces of the messengers of Yama. But it's perfectly good in Sanskrit and to make it into a compound, Yama messenger faces. When you get a compound like this, it's important to remember that in almost all cases, it's only the last member that is declined. So you put Yama in its stem form, undeclined with no change to it, just pure stem form, Duta likewise, and then decline Mukhani, Yamaduta Mukhani. So Bandhun Nirashan Sampashyan, seeing Bandhun Nirashan, his relatives despairing, Yamaduta Mukhani cha, and Yamaduta Mukhani, the faces of the messengers of Yama. Now we'll look at this long compound adjective in the first line. Note at the very end of it, you've got the ending an. Let me call up the highlighted. Oops, sorry. Oh, come on. sorry, Mr. Technology at it again and trying to get the so I can't make it go away. So I'm going to pause this. Okay, here we are. We have Bandhun Nirashan Sampashyan Yamaduta Mukhanicha, right? That's Sampashyan. Now this Sampashyan, present participle, seeing, contemplating, looking upon. Shoka Vega Sumuchanda Sashurakte Krashanan. Now look at this an here at the end. That an is the same accusative plural ending as Bandhun, Bantu Bandhun, and Nirasha Nirashan. So this is the first line is one long compound adjective of which only the last member declines, all the rest Shoka, Vega, Smuchanna, Sasru, Rakta, Ikshana, Ananan, only the last one declines. So it is an adjective and it's in the nominative, masculine accusative plural, so ending in an. Now let us resolve it. Now, as a general rule of thumb, when you're examining compounds in Sanskrit, and it works kind of the same way in English as well, when you're examining compound words, it's often useful to start at the end and work backwards. So the last word in this compound, in its stem form, is anana. Okay, I'll go back now to iPad for you. Anana. Actually, it's from the root an, to breathe. Sorry, to breathe. And then anana, the original meaning was breathing, and then by extension, that through which we breathe. So in this context, it means the face, the breather, your mouth or your face. So raktekshana, rakta, is coloured, having a bright colour, and often means red. Rakta ikshana. Ikshana from the root iksh, meaning to look. And ikshana, that by which one looks, the ikshana is therefore the eye. So rakta ikshana by Santi makes raktekshana. So ikshana, sorry, I wrote it the wrong way around. So rakta ikshana becomes raktekshana. By normal Santi, the a plus e or e both becomes a. And in transliteration to assist students, we often write it with a circumflex to indicate that it's a coalescence of two vowels, rakta ikshana, raktekshana, literally red eye. And then as an adjective, red-eyed, having an eye that's red. Now working further back this compound, sashru. So how is it red-eyed? Tearful red-eyed, in other words, red-eyed because of tears. So the faces red-eyed because of tears. So tearful red-eye-faced, having faces that are, whose eyes are red because of the tears. So the word ashru means a tear. If you are sa, ashru, cognate with the Latin co, which then we have in English meaning with or accompanied by. So sashru then becomes by santi, sashru, having tears, therefore tearful. So tearful, red-eyed faced, sashru raktekshananana. That is one part of the compound. Now we'll go back to the beginning. Shoka vega samuchanna. Shoka is grief. And the name of the emperor that we often write as Ashoka, he who is without grief. That's Ashoka, the griefless. That's the meaning of his name. So Shoka Vega, grief shock. Now I did a fairly detailed description of the word Vega for you in verse 3. Rather than repeat it all here, I invite you to go back and look at verse 3 in the notes, where I did the detail on udvega. It's the same Vega, but here in the sense not just of liveliness, but of being alarmed or in a state of shock. So Shoka Vega means, by the way, Shoka, not shock. Shoka is the grief, Vega is the shock. Shoka Vega, so grief shocked. Samuchanna, root chad, means to uncover. Sorry if I just said chad meant to uncover. Chad actually means to cover. Sorry, so chad, to cover, and the past participle is channa. You often see that with roots ending in a D. It's actually the chad na, channa. As we know, that's the past participle. As we know, the past participle normally ends in a ta, but it often ends in a na as well, exactly the same as in English. Our most common form of past participle ending is the ed, but we very often have it as an en, driven, spoken, written, and not drived and speaked and righted. So we find the same in Sanskrit. There's a whole series of past participles ending in na rather than ta, just as we have in English. So channa means covered. Now the ut, if you make it with an ut chad, by sandhi that becomes uchad. That means to cover, but here it means to uncover, to open up. If we then prefix with a sum, this has an intensive or completion meaning. So samuchanna has the meaning of completely uncovered, blown open, completely blown apart. The meaning here, as I interpret it, being that one's normal mental protections, the way you cope with life, is a kind of protective cover, physically and mentally. But this protective covering is samuchanna. It's blown open by this shock of the grief, the shoka vega samuchanna. So grief shock exploded. So looking again at this long compound in the first line, sashru rakta ikshana ananan by santi sashru raktekshanananan, tearful red-eye faced. Why are they tearful red-eye faced? Why are they Sashru Rakdekshanana Anana. The beginning of the compound is the reason for it, the Shoka Vega Samuchanda, because blown apart by the shock of grief. So I will read this again twice for you slowly. I'll call back the text. Come on, please let me find the text. There we are. Here we go. Shoka Vega Samuchanda Sashru Rakte Kshanananan Bandhun Nirashan Sampashyan Yamaduta Mukhanicha. Shoka Vega Samuchanda Sashru Rakte Kshanananan Bandhun Nirashan Sampashyan Yamaduta Mukhanicha. Good. That concludes this video. Thank you.